Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 98. And yep, once again, still 3 players, but that's okay. We'll be continuing onwards, and I will, for some reason, for some very specific reasons, talking very clearly now to make sure that everyone that watches this episode can understand me. Including my filters that my voice is currently going through now. So they don't think it's noise. It says so much about, I just realized, my voice, that it thinks that my voice is noise. And I don't know how I should feel about that. Maybe it's trying to tell me something. Alright. Anyways, that out of the way, we're closing in on that episode 100. Still not there yet. This session to go, and then 2 more, and we're officially there. And then we're gonna celebrate that with something special. Though many delays are in the way of that episode of happening, which is kind of good, because it gives me time to prepare for that. And hopefully until then, Felicia will also be back, because it would kind of suck if she was there for that episode.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes it is what it is, and we'll see. That said, question of the day. Last session was a bit of a anvil drop onto your guys' head of what's happening with the state of the world, and I think lost is one word that somewhat accurately describes, or uncertainty, once again, another word that I think a lot of you people are feeling what the next course of action is. So I think a appropriate question is, what do your characters think of that? So what's their game plan after hearing about all this? Probably the craziest shit you've heard up until now. To a certain extent, you aren't quite sure what's going on, but it seems to be something large. So yeah. For now, this is a character-specific question, but you can also, as a player, answer as well what you think about what's going on.
Well, I'm Greg, and I'm playing Eirik Spanner, the human artifighter. Eirik is now, and he's always been very, like, tunnel vision on so many things about the world, just because he was never really a part of that many things. So every bit of new information, it's just adding on to an already massive just jumble in his head. So he's kind of just going with the flow at this point. He's trying to make sure that, you know, his friends stay level-headed and safe. So there's not a lot of deep thought that's going on within Eirik's head about the goings-on in the world. Everything is much more, how are we staying safe? How are we going to, you know, solve our own issues? There's no real way for him to absorb that much information. Everything in his world is around him.
That makes no sense. And you as a player?
God. It's probably the most information I've ever seen in any kind of D&D game or Pathfinder or anything. Like, it's so, I'm getting to the point of just like leaning towards Eirik's point of view. Just focus. Things need to be smaller. It's really hard for a small group of really not that experienced people to, you know, figure out how to solve the damn world crisis, you know.
Very true. All right. That leads us to the opposite.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Matt, playing Fiera, the wizard with ties to a lot of things, as the lady mentioned last session. Boy, how do I say this without the spoilers, huh? I don't know, Fury just wants to do her thing. Delve where people aren't delving, make connections with insane beings, work to fix the problems of not just by herself, by empowering others to do so. She wants to be part of it, and she wants to become a good beacon of support for, the Sapphire Plane. So she's gonna do whatever she has to do to make sure that works that way. And yeah, as a player, I just want to fix the world, just one piece at a time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Skit. I play Isarel Leafina, the druid cleric. Isarel is properly mind blown at the moment. She basically just achieved 2 of the life goals that she had tucked in the back of her head. Like, one day I'll get to it. Like, after we've dealt with this, I'll be able to concentrate on that and finding that and she just stumbled into it. So now she's like, I have to revisit my entire view of the entire world. She just lost her connection to basically her patron, so obviously she's extremely scared of what's going to happen next. And she definitely wants to slow it down as much as she can until she finds the solution, because she is hell-bent on, I will find a solution to it. So she's a bit she's probably a little bit of there's probably a lot of thoughts racing in her head right now and trying to grasp at things to try to figure out what the next step is going to be for her.
Yeah. Chaos.
Yep.
Indeed, an appropriate
Yeah.
word. For...
Yep, and as a player, well, I need to figure out what's next for Isarel, because 2 of my goals in the campaign just got casually checked off last session, so now I have to jump into Isarel's head and myself figure out what the next step is for Isarel. So I'm a little bit frazzled right now. I'm like, okay, what do we do now? What's the next step for Isarel? So I'll have to literally meditate with Isarel in mind and see what's next for her, what she wants next, because I got flabbergasted last session. Definitely I was not expecting that at all, so now I'm a little bit okay, what next?
Yeah, that was a big chance on where you would be going next, and kind of stepped into the right territory there. Though I will, as a DM, just to preface, the Drivarian aren't the Dryadalus. They are 2 separate entities.
Yeah. But they are a connection to the court. So now she knows if she wants to find the court, she has a place to start.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's oh, wait, now what?
Yeah, a lot of things going on. And with that said, just jump right into the intro to see if even more things go on. Which they most likely will. It's just how it works. It's just how it works.
The blood that was spilled, it soaked within the earth. It dried and will be forgotten. Depraved maniacs who wished nothing more than to dream of what could be. They were a necessary alliance to get what we needed. A little bit of time. Though their meager efforts were even worse than anticipated. This is why we do not trust foreign powers, my liege. Faith wanes. It is highly unreliable. We do not worship. We study. We do not pray. We calculate. We do not hope. We act. With this device, the doors that it will open for us, the potential which it will unlock, it will be a turning point in our scientific history. The blueprints deciphered from the remnants of the forges of war. These are the only scriptures we need. No alliance, no faction nor nation is strong enough to stop the engines of destruction which we have built. All it took was a little more time. Glory will be brought to us, and we shall reign indisputably over the entire continent. No legions, no battalions, no military will be able to stand in our way. No demon nor angel will have the power to stop us. We shall reign as true rulers. Thine royalty, it befits the crown to rule all. Distant are the reliance on the so-called light. We shall show them what light is, and we shall show them what true freedom and supremacy looks like. My king and dearest queen, thine throne befits nothing less than power, and I, your humble scientist, shall give you the power it deserves.
All right. Start things off as usual with a quick recap. After you guys have defeated the Fallen Tree Avatar and retrieved its powering orb, which you discovered to be the Eye of Silvers, you retreated back to the base of what you assume to be one big-ass tree, potentially a son of Servalon. Kind of rested there, investigated the area a bit, discovered that it's somehow connected to the Dryadalis, a chord switch Isover has been desperately trying to find. And in the wake of that night, you all would receive a ominous vision as you stood at some coast and you saw how the horizon itself broke and shattered apart, revealing a different sky where the moon does not exist anymore. Instead, an asteroid field fills the sky, and the colors of the world have started to heavily desaturate and turn into a somewhat purplish hue. But other than that, you kind of just been left hanging there, other than this very ominous emotion that was just kind of filling your chests as you all wake up and shared this experience, it is also then that Israel, you realize as you try to reconnect to Servalon again, or actually no, as you try to for the first time connect to Silvers, and realize then that the connection you found there, which you did find, was no different than the one you had to Servalon all this time. But at that very time, at that day where you noticed that, it is also the same day where that connection got broken. And the one who has been not necessarily lending you power, or the one you actually believed in, has now seemingly left this world in one way or another, as the connection has somehow been broken. Nonetheless, you all woke up, discussed what to do next, did a small plan, and decided to go to what seemed to be interesting on the map, which was the tomb of Nazarax. Oh no, what am I talking about? The tomb of Azenvax. Yeah, you went there and discovered that it's actually a very small village slash settlement of hidden Dragonborn who seem to be keeping this as part of a shrine to Azenvax. And they have been hiding there all these years after their kind got killed and hunted by the Holy Religios. And it seemed like they managed to protect themselves within this small area of the tomb, which has been kind of protected by a veil placed there by Silvers himself. And there you would discover even more from the tomb keeper, Mindora, as she kind of showed you part of a different realm and warned you how times are now starting to become more chaotic, as it seems like she kind of somewhat confirmed that Silvers has indeed disconnected and is no longer part of this world. And that if you want to fight this chaos that is currently spreading, somehow, through some way, through some means, the World Tree has to just be brought back again. Because if that does not happen, the magic that you have all been using is slowly fading, for with each spell that you cast, one tree or one piece of fauna within whatever realm she showed you just burns away. And this is a slowly ever increasing thing that has been going on for a long, long time. And so you were all kind of just left there. After she gave you the juvenile seed, which is meant as one seed of hope that you could potentially use to bring back the Tree of Power, bring back a connection to the Tree of Power. You aren't quite sure. And that's where we left off, as Mindora, the very old, hunched over Dragonborn, is kind of looking at all of you. Fiera, you not being able to understand a word she said, because she was talking Draconic all this time.
Whoops.
And she senses kind of, the very dour nature of this current situation. And she has like a empathizing expression on her face. I swear you immediately catch that. Your insight is quite well. Eric, you miss it. Your insight is not that great. And Fiera, you're just trying to read the room in general because you aren't quite sure what was going on. I feel like translated most of it, so you did understand some of what she said. But she then talks, and surprise to you, Fiera, in a very somewhat broken common. She says,
It is obviously a great burden that I have placed on you.
and she stands up. I'm praying to God that her voice picks up. And kind of walks down towards you all, and specifically to you, Isorel, and then places a hand onto your hand that is still cradling the juvenile root or juvenile seed, which is this kind of crystal seed about this big that has this luminescent colors kind of sparkling in all forms of colors, almost like a translucent chroma crystal that just kind of shines and glitters with every possible color, but in a very bright, almost like life-giving way. But you don't feel any energy emanating from it. It just looks very pretty. And she says, with everything you now know, you must remember that it was not my purpose to tell you all of this, because I wish you to go out and change the world. The world does not get changed by the hands of a few people. No, this is not true. It is also not true that the heavy burden of the world is meant to be carried by the shoulders of such a few people. I have given you this seed for one reason. Because I do not believe that you are going to defeat this great evil of this world. No, do not misunderstand your purpose. Your purpose is to protect that which is good. I need all of you. And she specifically looks to you, Fiera, to remember whatever is going on in the world right now. Remember the things and the people you care the most about. Because at the end of the day, even if you defeat this evil that is coming, if the people you care about die on the way, it has been all for nothing. This is a lesson which our emperors, the dominators of this continent, had to learn the hard way. They managed to defeat the angelic legions that attacked their land. But the cost of this war was not only their people, but also their land. They did not see the small struggles happening all across the continent. And by that, they had a large blind spot. The premonition, which I am sure everyone on this continent has seen, should not distract you from what is most important. And that is your family, your friends, the things that are the closest to you. And do not forget, you are not the only people here fighting against this evil. There are stronger people. The only difference is now from a few moments ago is that you now know of this problem. But these problems existed tens of years ago. And still we live today. We must put faith in the people that are fighting this problem right now. And I am sure that a good friend of ours, Zephygus, is dealing with this problem right now. Here and several other powerful people of this world are all coming together. So we must ensure to our best capabilities to keep that what is important safe. For when the chaos eventually comes, Whether or not you succeeded in protecting what is important will decide the tide of this war. And she kind of steps like past you and kind of just walks out. But she kind of stops by the door and just waits for you to follow her.
Oh, not yet.
And then walks up.
I'm just gonna whisper to my friends. That's how I've been trying to convey my messages to you. She said it a lot better than I have. Same thing, just she did it better.
Yeah, good reminder.
She goes up as you kind of follow her, and she's once again back in front of the shrine where you initially met her the first time. And you can see now, seems like a lot of other Dragonborn people have just gathered here and are in the midst of a prayer. And there's always like one person that goes up to a shrine and then lights some incense and puts them into a bowl and then goes back. And then another one goes there, lights it up, does a prayer and puts it there. And she says, "You see, we have just lost, well, our god. Yet still, we still pray. Because we did not pray for the hopes that Silvus would help us. We knew from the bottom of our heart that he has already done the best he could. No, we pray now for the safety of our people. To remind us every single day, so we do not forget what is most important to us. We have stayed in this tomb for such a long time, even though we knew that this day right now would come. But if our forefathers would have went out to try and prevent this day from happening, what do you think would have happened?
Would have been worse.
We would have been killed, executed by the Holy Religions. Because we would have been blinded by this problem that the hundreds of other problems that we still face would have taken care of us before we could even come to the bigger problem. They say that sometimes you cannot see the forest because it is so full of trees. But sometimes it is the other way around. Sometimes, as you are walking through the forest, you are blinded by trees. Sometimes the biggest problem is not the most fatal. Sometimes it is the smallest thing that will creep up on you and have the biggest consequence in your life.
Yep.
That is why our forefathers decided to stay here and wait for a sign. And it seems like Silvus himself, in his last dying day, sent to us an acolyte. One who I believe and I can feel can bring renewed life to the juvenile seed. But do not forget the small progress, the small goals, and the small problems that are still yet in your way before you attempt to help the juvenile seeder. Now, what I wish you to do is to join this ceremony, as we all come together to remember what is the most important to us. You need not say it to ourselves. This is for yourself. Take one of the incense at the altar and pray. Remember. Focus. What is most important to you? And she kind of ushers through the group of Dragonborn that have been kind of all sitting in a semicircle. And aren't many. There's like maybe, between 40, 50 or so. And, various ages. And she kind of goes forward, and you can see one of the other Dragonborns kind of just gives her a piece of incense, which she takes, and then kind of lights it up with a flintstone, and then just kind of burns up a bit. And then she just puts her hands together and then starts a prayer. But also her head even more down than she usually already is, hunched over. And then there's like a minute of silence. And after that, she raises her head, carefully places the incense back into this ash pot that has been there, that's already filled with dozens of other incenses. Turns around, goes back towards your group, and hands a pair of incense towards you, Eric.
Ugh, why am I first?
You're always first, man. You gotta know this by now.
I'll place my hand on Irik's back, and I'll kind of slowly push him towards the front, like where it is, and I'll just whisper to him, "Trust your guts." And
Yeah, kind of just watching as I'm getting pushed forward, like trying to remember what I just saw, the thing between the hands, and following the process precisely.
All right. Yeah, you step forward. There's one Dragonborn who's like always next to the shrine, who has the flint and stone. So as you approach there, you just kind of awkwardly place the incense in front of him, and then you just kind of starts to burn up a bit, and you can immediately smell the whiff of the incense. Very strong, seems very potent. It reminds you a bit of, the very few times that you used your searing flames from Tolva, like when it viscerally burns something. So it's a similar scent. It's not unpleasant. It's actually quite relaxing, and also reminds you of kind of when you're like woodworking and then you carve in with a hot tool or something like that to do engravings like that. That smell isn't unpleasant. For someone who works with wood, is actually like this very pleasant aroma, and it does actually. And you don't know if there's any physical herbs that contribute to this, but you relax to some degree. And what do you do, Eric?
Okay, so just for y'all's sake, over the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months or whatever, I've been like constantly writing down notes, like little one-liners that come into my head about just things that are very, not like prayer specific, but just things that kind of might like not inspirational quotes, but just almost like proverbs, things that have just come into my head that feel like they have weight. So now I just have to scroll through and remember what some of these were.
That's interesting.
That's just
that's commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
finally a time where these little notes will come in handy.
Hmm.
And so immediately I just start thinking about how similar the words that we just heard were to my general belief of this whole situation. Is it's not about, you know, defeating evil, because that is not something that only a handful of people can do. It's more about corralling it and figuring out how to embrace what's going on around us to prevent it from getting worse in the future. The evil stuff that can't that exists in the world can't be stopped. They can only be we can only learn from them so it doesn't continue to happen. Let's see, what are sorry, I have to go through these notes because now that there's actually a chance to use them, it's pretty cool.
Take your time.
So with all these notes that Eirik has, these are things that Eirik has, written down on his own in his book.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of trying to come up with this big sort of long, prayer request thing that he's going to say off in his head, he's just going to remember these lines that he's written and just say them, as he wrote them. There's no real flow to them. It's just point after point. So he says things like, idle hands are the devil's playground. If you are lazy or passive, evil will prevail. You can't have a future if you don't like your past. Time is short. By the time you realize how messed up everything is, your ride is over. The power of the people is stronger than the people of power. Following instincts doesn't mean you're wrong. Sometimes the only way across a river is to slip on the first two rocks. So things like this that are just motivational and trying to bring the world's issues to a much more trying to look at the world's issues on a much more calming, relaxed level, and not letting them scare Eirik as much as they used to. The last one that I'm gonna say is, stop thinking of the moment as scary. Think of it as sacred. So he's trying to chill out and not overthink the masses of information that are coming his way now. He's been exposed to way more in the last few months than he was in his entire life, and there's absolutely no way he's ever going to understand it all. So he's just focusing himself on what's around him. His friends. He realizes that there's connections that can still be made with his parents and with other people in his past life, but they might be difficult to overcome, but it's not something that can't be done.
All right. Then as you're kind of doing this prayer, almost like self-affirmation, if you want to call it that, are there any specific groups or individuals of people specifically that are popping into your mind as you're kind of going through all of this? Do you remember anyone that you kind of keenly focus while you're saying these things? Maybe as like a motivation why you're doing this in the first place, or just as a mental support?
I mean, of course, the people that are most sort of linked to Irik's life are his parents and Velina. Those, the two connections that, still exist, but he doesn't quite know how to approach them. Obviously, he hopes that nothing has gone wrong or, bad for or to his parents. He still cares for them. He doesn't want them to succumb to any death or destruction. And he's wondering if the few moments that I've experienced with them, be it in my insanity and my dream sequence, how real were those? Is there any bit of truth to them? He doesn't. He certainly hopes not, and he doesn't want that to be real because he doesn't have that many people who he knows left in the world. So he doesn't want the people he does know to be that evil. And Velina, having seen her in the insanity and the dreams and everything, and knowing from before our adventures started what her goal appeared to be, he wonders how deep she's gone, and if there's anybody else pulling strings in her life, or if she's running basically on her own sort of path. Because if it's just her, there might still be a way to pull her back and maybe understand the situation. But if she's a puppet to a larger entity, that's not something Irik can really deal with. So yeah, it's really just those three people, because those are the people he spent the most time with, and he remembers all the time sharing table space with Velina in the workshops in Yeshiman. She was the only sort of regular, constant, sort of standard life that he knew. They went to eat, and they went and did their shopping and stuff together. So he wonders if there's a way to ever get back to that, where we don't have to deal with the chaos that exists out in the world. But since we're on this path, we have to deal with it as it comes. So
Definitely. I think as you're going through all these people who you haven't seen in a long while, but they still deeply rooted within yourself, have a very, very strong connection, and have, to some degree or another, fundamentally made you who you are today. Whether the changes were good or bad, you accept them. I think through this trickles a small sense of pride, but at the same time fear and sadness, as I believe in this moment you also remember a person who you truly cherished, who has changed you in some ways. Maybe not the greatest, like your parents or your co-worker, but your recent lost friend Arya, as this very short experience you had with her has kind of dramatically, probably altered the way you think about, since you weren't usually privy to the death of someone who's close to you. That has never really occurred in your lifetime. That first time you made a friend. I think now you also understand how precious something like that is. And how precious perhaps your parents are, even though at some stages in your life you never wanted to admit that, since they weren't there for you for a large portion of that. But at the same time, you don't have many friends, or family for that matter, And those little that you do, you hold a strong bond to. And with that, you open your eyes and probably place the incense into the cup, I assume.
Mhm.
Do you walk back?
I'm going to place the incense into the cup, into the bowl, and I'm just going to turn around and look at Fiera and Isorel and just, as poor as my insight is, I want to maybe see if I can tell how they are feeling about me doing this kind of like religious sort of prayer ritual stuff, because it's happened a few times, like the stuff in the dungeon, when we went and tried to revive Arya. Just, I want to see if there's any bit of information coming my way from them.
I guess, Fiera and Iso, you can say whatever you think Eirik would be able to see in whatever expressions or gestures you're doing right now. I will leave that up to you.
Eirik has poor insight, but Isorel doesn't hide her feelings very well. So, but in this instance, she would want Eirik to see it. And you can see a sense of pride. She's looking at him with prideful eyes, like, you've done something good. You know, you're like some pride and some what's the word in English? Let me translate it real quick. Kindness, benevolence. Also like a bit of a protective but like very positive attitude towards what is happening right now, and just kind of like feeling like this is something that is very much into Isorel's vein of things, and she's glad to see her friend delve into it in his own way and at his own pace.
I'm just gonna roll something quick.
Oh god.
Okay, you see, yeah, Fiera is just well put together and professional, and same as always.
Okay. All right.
A wall.
Love it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'll start walking back towards the two of them.
All right, and as you kind of turn around, as you're turning, the Dragonborn will hand you over a couple of incense to give to the next person. So you can decide to give the next batch of incense to.
Give it to Glamour.
What is this all about, huh?
I'll leave it up to chance.
Ooh.
Fiera.
Was it chance, or did Fiera manipulate that?
Good force 3-roll. But no, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. Look at it. From like an arcane point of view, can I get like how fancy is this incense?
You take a whiff of it, and I guess make a investigation check. That's
Let's
true.
see if they have some good stuff. Is it cheap?
18. Man, that's the most wizard thing you can do. You get instance to do a prayer, and you instantly investigate the quality of the goods. This is super good incense. Would be a great material component to any spells that require incense.
Okay, yeah, that was the question. Okay, yeah, no, I'll go up to the altar and I guess kind of just repeat what I already did. Oh boy. Yeah, no, as we're learning, Fiera's probably the opposite of Eirik in her thoughts. She actually goes back to when she was doing her trial. Lots of time. Her mind's kind of shifted. Rather than thinking about a specific person or even a specific goal, she thinks about how in this moment, all the people of this country, how everyone is, I guess, contributing. Because when she was frozen in that moment, she was trying to think of what everybody else is doing across all the countries, you know? And in this moment, she's just doing the same thing. Everybody's just trying to be a citizen of the world. They're doing their best. They're trying to survive. Some are doing it with good means, some not good means. But she wants to remember them all. She wants to know that everybody's effort is being noted and remembered and appreciated. So she tries to think outwardly that she's fighting for everyone, not just her mom, not just her friends, but everyone.
All right. As you're doing this, there obviously you had 8 years to come to this point, which is probably rock solid in your way of thinking. Plus, your mind probably also somewhat influenced by Shiva Roth. Who kind of also led you down a very specific path that is not necessarily not in line with this, but definitely has a different priority than protection.
Yeah.
And which you have in some ways been following. But there does creep up a back thought as the kind of voice of Mendura even seeps through your subconscious, which is something that I do believe Fiera would have asked herself quite a couple of times. If you could still continue this path, if you knew you would have to sacrifice the people you love the most, your brother, which seems to have already been sacrificed, and your mother, if you could still be able to do that.
What? Here's the question. If Fiera's mom passed away, similar to her family, how would she react? I think we're at the part where she doesn't know, but she hopes that she can. That's one thing that isn't certain to her. She doesn't know if she can keep it together, if everybody she cares about was sacrificed to get there. But she hopes she could stay on the path.
So there is a fight within Fiera that has to weigh between protecting those you care about at all costs, but therefore sacrificing potentially the large picture, or sacrificing those closest to you in order to achieve the larger picture.
Yeah, it's a battle. I think she's gotten over both her father and brother. She recognizes that it's because of their sacrifice that she's gotten to this point. It can help so many others and can remember them, and she's motivated by them. So she knows if that's wasn't done, that she wouldn't have gotten here in the first place. So she's hoping it's the right path. But yeah, there's still some conflict.
Yeah. And as you kind of close your remembrance, less of a prayer, and you open your eyes, is there a swell of uncertainty from this young wizard kind of spruce out as you place then I presume you place the incense into the pot of ash.
Yeah.
Turn around and you get handed the next batch of incense to give to the next person.
Yep. Over to Azrael.
Azrael takes it in her hands and she goes in front and she goes through the motions. And as anyone can see, this is not the first time she does this. Like she knows how this goes. And she's going through the motions and she goes to pray, and her first thought goes to Arya. That is the first person that comes to mind. And for the first time since Arya's death, she kind of comes to terms with the fact that there's nothing that Azrael, could have done to prevent this to happen. And that Arya chose the life that she chose because she believed in the same things that she does, and that she is not solely responsible for Arya's death. And a huge weight of guilt just lifts off her shoulders. And then she thinks of Endel. Endel also chose to follow us, and he chose to do what was best with what he knew about the world. And that guilt also starts lifting. And then she thinks of Tila. And her heart cinches a little bit because she still feels a little bit responsible. But then she thinks, if I had been the one sitting in bed knowing that Tila could seal this evil entity and all it cost was my life, I would tell her, go ahead. And the pain is still there, but the guilt starts untangling a little bit as well. And then she thinks of her mother and her father, knowing that they are in Colis, they are seemingly safe. She's also not responsible for the assassination attempt on her father. She is not the reason that it happened. Ramifications had already begun way before anything that she had done. She wasn't even close. And there's, again, nothing she could have done to prevent this from happening. And once again, the guilt lifts off. And she goes down the list like this with glamour, with every being that she either killed or removed or saved. And she just thinks one by one about these people, and she just thinks, I did the best that I could with the information that I had. And if the roles were reversed, I know that I would meet my demise knowing that I had a purpose. And then she finally thinks of Servalon and Sylvis, the literal roots of her life. And she just thinks about them a little bit stronger and think about everything that she's done so far to help. And she just thinks, even if it means that the roots are going to grow a millimeter in my entire life, then I'll know I've done everything that I could. And she ends her prayer and puts the incense in the ash.
Yeah.
And turns around to go back to her friends.
And you do so. You return back to Iconfiera and see all of the other Dragonborn are still kind of just, hands together and the eyes closed. And you can see Mendura, who was just kind of standing next to you, also had her eyes closed the entire time, hand on her walking stick. And after you return, she kind of opens her eyes again and she says, well, you may use this place as a resting place, or you can continue on the long journey that you are still on. And if there is anything you require or need, please do not hesitate to ask. We are all on the same journey, just on different paths. And she then just... Oh, yeah.
Well, you seem to know quite a bit, as the last one passed down to you, quite a bit about the Pantheon. I was actually wondering if you know about the creator, Basilius Vicarion.
It is a name that I have, of course, heard of. Yes. Though not so much do I know about him. It seems he has been gone for a much longer time.
Quite a number of years, yes. And then there are also 3 that I've learned of that have ties to, I guess, dragons that I'm still trying to figure out. We've learned of one called Tiamat. I look for like recognition in her eyes.
She knows. I only hear this name in folk stories, just as a bad omen.
We've learned that she may be the mother of some dragon.
Yes, it is. The stories that I have heard, they had taken a similar role. It's like the dragon kind is most of the species are very contentious, and it is said that those overcome with woe emotion. If their drive is negative, then it means that the influence, the bad birth which they were subjugated towards, was influenced by Tiamat. It is said that the evil emotion within a dragonkin, the expression of power and authority, was born through Tiamat.
Interesting. I guess that does make sense. And then there are 2 others that are of the same vein. One's called Bahamut, and the other Sardior.
And the same folk story as with the bad emotion that making a dragon better, or that it pulls a dragon towards the more greedy and powerful side. When a dragon shows her a greater example of selflessness and pride, and also kindness, this is then through the influence through a circumstance or from a birth that was influenced by Bahamut. Though these tales do not depict these as their own entities, but more as a global phenomenon or a mystical force that exists under the wind. You know how some people believe in the stars, and that they dictate what happens in the world. It is similar to that.
Interesting. Then I'm curious, how much of that incense do you have?
Is it like a... Oh, well, we handcraft made this, but it is always enough, so we are supplied for our own ritual. But we can obviously share some with you if you are interested.
Well, I was wondering if you have any use of coin. I don't really have anything for trade other than, I guess, knowledge.
It is okay. No need to spend a coin here. There is no use for gold here. We
That's what I
can...
figured.
Don't worry. We are more than happy to give away to some of our incense.
I was actually... I've come across a spell recently. I've been trying to figure out how to best use it. There are many things I want to learn about, but I think currently Bahamut's kind of on top of my list. So if you could spare some, I could pass along what I learn. Maybe we can all become more, I guess, understanding of our heritage.
Interesting proposal you make, a strange woman. Make a persuasion check.
Okay.
Come on, strange woman.
Strange woman with strange powers and strange acts. Persuasion. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh boy, come on. Oh,
Wow.
okay.
20. I mean,
Okay,
good plus
okay.
six, that's pretty good.
I'll take that. Yes.
She looks deep into the eyes, sees the glint of your curiosity just fanning through, and she gives like a small smile. She says, "Oh, all right. I cannot deny such a request. How much incense are we talking about?"
Oh, I don't know how to translate this out of gold.
You can just tell me how much gold worth you need, because you somewhat, since you investigated the incense, you can kind of make an estimate how much you would need of that.
Okay, I will double check how much I need for this. I think it's 200 gold per cast.
200 gold.
Sorry, 250.
250. Wow.
Which I have,
tiny
but I'm
spell.
obviously, you know,
Tiny spell.
tiny spell.
You know, nothing much.
Yeah.
it's all used on.
Yeah.
So
If it was regular incense, you probably need like 10 kilos. Or like, I don't know how many pounds that is. 30 pounds? No, that's not right.
Yeah, like
20,
a cart full.
22, 24 pounds-ish.
Oh, yes, double. All right. With this, you only need like a tenth of that. So maybe like a kilo of the incense would do that. The incense is really, really valuable.
boy. Well, I will do my. I guess I'll point to theirs and just say, I don't know, but like a handful, or
8 kilos more
Like
than a handful.
It's 2 pounds. It's 2.2 pounds. It's like a
Oh,
stick of butter.
Yeah, but incense is not very dense, so it's very light.
Yeah.
it's like blocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would need like a sack of the incense.
Yeah, okay. Then yeah, I'll try to get that across. Enough to fill a pack.
Nods, looks. Oh, right here. And then she kind of speaks Draconic to one, and well, I swear on Irish you understand. Hasvina, do we have one pack of incense left, like overdue? The other dragon will kind of looks up and says,
Overdue.
Well, we've been using it quite heavily recently, but we just have to then get our hands dirty a little bit more, supply for that. Oh, sack for you, Sam. We can make it work.
all right, thank you. Well, it seems we kind of supply one sack of incense for you.
That'd be wonderful. I look to Eric and Azrael. Do you guys mind if I take a half an hour to get this ready?
Please, go ahead.
I don't think we were rushing anywhere, so.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
might-
I'm curious to see how this works.
Me too.
Yeah. I guess I'll try to find a spot, away from the shrine, so I'm not like distracting people, but
Yeah.
a nice quiet area. Then yeah, I will have to take a short rest just to get this spell prepared. But yeah, I'll start prepping in the area. Being very vigilant as I prepare legend lore.
All right. And as she prepares that, we're gonna take a quick break because I gotta pee again. Who would have guessed? I have been drinking during the session. So we'll catch you guys in a bit. Ciao. And we are back. Coming to basically, I guess, while Fiara's prepping this, I saw Eric, anything specifically you would like to do during that?
Yes. Absolutely. I will sit a little bit further away from Fiara to let her prep her things in peace. And I'll get my basin out and I will scry on good old Papa.
Yes. Well, if I can do a wisdom save, unless he gets an extra 20, I wouldn't do it. Yeah, no. Yes, so you just sit down, you do your ritual cast of that, and after a quick sec goes by, the little pool that you have, a little cup of holy water starts to kind of once again ripple, and the ripples refract the light in such a way that an alternate image is produced where you then see rather clearly, looking several feet away.
I'm covering so that no one sees what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And yeah, you see your father. He's currently at a table, and I have to remind myself again, how much do you see? 10 feet, 15 feet?
10 feet.
Alright, 10 feet. Yeah, he's sitting at a table. He has currently a couple of documents in front of him and a pen, but he seems to be amidst a conversation with someone else. You don't see your mother here, but you hear that he's talking to someone who seems to be sitting across the table, and he says, well, I'm not quite sure. This seems to go rather deep. I mean, I've heard of this when I was still in Azathia and trying to reason why, and was writing a couple of articles how this came to be. But you're saying it is linked to specifically the throne? I would have thought that, since their main power of authority is anchored within themselves, they wouldn't want to separate or spread it. And here from across the table, a deep voice, you assume it to be dwarven. Well, it's what I'm saying, like the bits and pieces of found is that this is a way for them to clearly separate themselves from the Holy Religions, to know of their own belief. It has been spreading around for, before it swept over to Azathia, but it was quite small. We see, like 2 years ago, there was this sort of connection that was made that made them, I don't know, convince the king somehow to do this. And I hear a third voice, and now coming into the picture, the back head first seems unfamiliar. It just seems to be a black-haired human individual that steps next to your father. But as soon as he speaks and looks towards the father, you can see the face, and you very clearly remember Veltrix, who is one of the adventurers who you adventured with in Hell, the human guy, who's kind of talking with him, and he says, well, this new bits of information that we uncovered during there seems to have been some sort of package that was sent to the throne, like several years ago, and a lot of people in the inner circles have been reporting that the king kind of just changed his behavior since then. And your father responds, that is strange. I think we have to look closer into this, especially the connections that we found here with the underground that link to Kronberg. This has probably something to do with it. We've been trying to follow his trail, but he's a sneaky one, and I think he has insiders that are keeping him hidden right now. I don't know what our next step is going to be. Well, we just have to try and find a little bit more routes. The leads we have right now are solid, at least. We should work on what we have. Oh, alright. Well, if you excuse me, I just have to make sure my wife is okay. And then stands up and then walks to a side room, and you can see kind of sits next to a cot, and then kind of cradles the hand, but you can see your mother in a somewhat weakened state lying in bed, and she has like a wet towel over her forehead and stuff like that, and you can see that your father kind of leans over and just checks on her. She seems to be having, from the things you can see, maybe a fever or something like that, but she just looks kind of bedridden, and you hear someone say, don't worry, my dear. We are making progress right now. We'll have this fixed. You just rest for a moment, alright? And you can then hear a very weakened voice of your mother. Don't worry about me. I'm doing just fine. Focus on finding Kronberg. And you can see your father just nods and just kind of sits with your mom for a while. And that's when the vision starts to fade of your scrying.
For now, Iserel is not going to say anything, but she's gonna get up and go close to Eirik and whisper to him, I think we might need to go to Colis.
Just slowly turn my head to her. You'll have to explain.
Later.
All right. With that, you complete your switcheroo, Fiera. And I guess you can explain to me, how does it look like
Jesus.
that you now cast
It's a
Legend
great
Lore?
question. What does Legend Lore look like? um, oh, okay, there's incense, there's ivory. Takes 10 minutes to cast. I am looking into. Okay, how about I just read it? We'll go from there. Okay. It's swapping in brief understanding about those from the antler. It's accurate, encoded language. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I definitely think they're famous. Well, yes, they used to be. I think. Oh boy. 10 minutes. It's a Fiera spell. She's gonna alter it a little bit at least.
I just realized the last sentence of the spell. If the famous thing you chose isn't actually famous, you hear sad
Oh, you
musical
hear
notes played on a trombone, and the spell fails. Greg,
I didn't see that.
it is your time to shine.
Oh my god. Oh my
Quick,
god.
we need it.
If the spell ever fails, which it might. Okay,
I'm
I
ready.
think Fiera sets up the incense all around her. She starts lighting it. And as the smoke kind of builds, it almost stops at a certain height and starts building around here almost like a dome, like a hot box. And as she starts like an incantation, the 4 pieces of ivory all float up and almost take like whiffs of smoke and start drawing arcane symbols all around her. So over the course of these minutes, different sigils for divination, for foresight, for connecting with the weave, for almost like traversing the space like she has with contact plane. She's trying to reach out for bits of information as far as she can. And when she gets to the end of it, all the ivory comes together, and glowing on it is where she's going to choose the person, place, or object. And she just whispers the name Bahamut as she's surrounded by smoke and sigils and this burning, and kind of for her, everything kind of just starts going black as she connects as deeply as she can with this big network that she's created with this spell.
Yes, and exactly that happens, and you can see curious faces around you, especially probably from Irik and Ice First to see this happen. Anyone who has somewhat of an attunement towards magic can see the accumulation of just a variety of strands from the weave just congealing together, and you can't see it, you can just feel it, how suddenly the environment shifts to kind of place a specific, or conforming to the ritual areas that you have created here, and it manifests itself in this small bubble of arcane energy that now surrounds you in a way that, happens every time you insignificantly cast Identify, but now with a much larger focus. And you can see it seeps a lot of the energy from the surrounding in order to power this spell. And not only that, you can also feel that there's like different ways that the strands of magic are being tied together to do what you wish to do. It's like looking at the infrared background radiation from the universe, that you're looking at a different aspect of the weave that you haven't thoroughly investigated yet, but you realize that every piece and every strand of the weave holds some aspect of the history that happened within here. And every bit, every strand that has touched the plane of this earth remembers the place it touched. And by creating this complicated knot of the magical weave, you are able to access these bits of memories that relate to the very thing you wish to know about, Bahamut. And as you say these words, it echoes through the space, and you can feel the sudden surge as almost every strand that you've collected here just immediately vibrates strongly and resonates to these words. As a being born from divinity, something that you have not encountered before, a being of pure divine power. There is no thread or bits of pieces of undivinity, so to speak. It is not made of corporeal matter. It is purely a creation from the gods themselves to act as a guide to the people that tread this land. It was created by Basileus Valkyrion as a means to give them an idol and something to worship. And he became the father of dragons as he imbued his own energy with permission of Basileus Valkyrion to create the chromatic dragons that used to exist. And he was created a long time ago. A time before even anything that you know of. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, this god was created as someone who stood in face of the great war of creation to destroy and get rid of the things that threatened life itself. And he led the armies of primordial humans into battle against demonkind. But as years passed and peace came, the symbol of a field marshal, a hero of war, started to fade, and he became an icon for stoicism, strength, endurance, and passion. And with it, you can suddenly see in front of you the shape being created as if molten silver and platinum comes together. A bright golden core illuminates. The vast vistas of different spectral colors kind of form on the edge of the silhouette of one large draconic being that is so grand and so bright it blinds you, and you can but only see just the silhouette of a being that is so grand. And as you're seeing this vista of pure eminence, you are left to question whatever in this world could have made it so that this being would disappear. And there's a sudden crack as you question that the silhouette breaks as the kind of light disperses, and slowly but surely, as the light fades away, you see the dark scape of the night sky. And as you look up, you can see a very similar horizon to the one you saw in your premonition of a broken moon that sits on the sky, knowing that he and his connection and everything he brought was lost when the moon was destroyed. And with that, kind of magic just dissipates and disappears, and the ritual ends.
And chromatic dragons, are those the...
Oh no,
you
sorry,
have to
I
remind
said
me.
metallic dragons, I said chromatic.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Metallic
don't know,
dra-
I'm sorry. I was thinking chroma or
What
chrome is
was-
metal, but no.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Metallic dragons. With I don't think we've ever come in contact with a metallic dragon or even heard of one. Have we? I don't think so.
Nope.
Okay. Fira kind of wafts the remaining incense away.
Yeah, big hot box.
Starts putting away her ivory. Was anyone else able to get some of that, or do I need to explain?
Yeah, you're always gonna have to explain.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pass it all along. Cliff Notes being, they were born of divine power by Basilius Okirion, father of dragons. Cool. I actually do say cool. They created the metallic dragons, and led them, in battle against anything that threatened life. Bahamut's been around for so long that it's hard to even imagine how many years he's existed, but left once the Divine Gate was destroyed. You know, they led us. They were a warrior, a fighter, and a father. But now they're so far beyond our reach.
Oh boy.
As I mark up one of the 10 things I have on my legendary list.
Only 10? I'm surprised.
Well, there's more, but it's like 10 important ones.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
I genuinely don't know how you're keeping track of all of this, Fira. There's just
There's threads, there's footprints, there's history. It needs to be remembered.
I don't disagree. But just the sheer amount of just complex intertwining stories and history and oh boy.
It is complicated, but at the end of the day, everything's connected. Especially with time and this world. But you're right, it is complex. And it will take me years to put together a complete picture. But I do think that's my job. That's my purpose. But it does. It's interesting. So I kind of look at our audience, the Dragonborn. They're around us.
Okay, I guess how open of a space would you have chosen?
Oh, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't trying to hide it. So if they wanted to watch, I would have let them.
Okay. Yeah, it's just how many would have been aware that you were prepping that is more the question. So if you would have chosen this, a room for yourself, or just doing it outside.
It would have been outside. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, there are probably like 10 Dragonborn that are just kind of looking like.
Okay, sure. Well, yeah. Do they know commons? Question. That's what I'm speaking. But yeah, I'll just keep saying. I don't think fear would mind. So Tiamat is in hell. I confirmed that recently. Scary figure. And then Bahamut's somewhere behind the Divine Gate that was destroyed. And whatever's on the other side of the gate, we don't really know. What's their home look like? I tried to find, heaven that was taught by Lichnius, but I couldn't. It's something even beyond comprehension.
Yeah, I'd say.
There's a puzzle here. I'm working at it though.
I wish there was more that I can offer to help you with, you know, the
I need
puzzle you're trying to put
incense.
together.
I need
like,
so much incense. You have no idea. Thousands of gold of incense. But no, I think you just traveling along with me will help me figure out a lot of things. You have your own heritage.
yeah.
Whew. Anyways, that kind of tired me out. Yeah, we need to figure out what to do next. This was a good stop. Tree was a great stop.
Yes.
You know, we have ruins, we have cities, we have mountains.
I may have an idea of where we could go next. But we'll talk about this a little bit later.
If it requires teleportation, I need to know earlier than later so I can plan.
Okay, yeah, it does need teleportation.
At this point, what wouldn't though? Like, otherwise, we're just like, let's go to the other side of this field. Like, anything we want to go to is gonna.
Well, if it's within a couple days, it's probably easier to go on foot.
No, it's far.
Okay. Well, regardless, I can't go anywhere today
Yeah, no,
unless
definitely
we
not
take a
today.
circle.
But and I meant a little bit later, as in when we sit down for the evening and start resting. I'll tell you guys what I saw in my
Sure.
scrying time.
Yeah. I guess what time of day is it, Jack?
It
Noonish, or?
it would be pretty early still, since you kind of immediately left when you woke up. So right now it's like there's no word. There's afternoon, but not before noon. So like
Morning?
yeah, but because yeah, but you also say afternoon. Which isn't like morning for me. Is like 6 till 8, and then from
We can call it midday.
is it midday? Isn't that just noon?
Oh my god.
Am I crazy? I think it's the hyperfixation of German, to be precise, that is coming out right now, because we have a word for that's literally called pre-noon. Then we have noon, and then we have afternoon. And so it's like
Noon is.
it's like 11 a.m.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
French also
Well, yeah.
has a pre-noon word. We also have morning, pre-noon, noon, afternoon, evening, night.
That's
Yeah.
too much.
Yep, same here in
Yeah.
German. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 11
Europe-
a.m.
It's the European preciseness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I'll ask the elder. Do you have a place we can kind of make camp?
Yes, of course. Here. She just kind of goes down the stairs again, the side of this large stone formation, and just kind of shows you a couple of rooms that are just empty. Seem to have many empty ones, and she kind of says, "These used to belong to some of the other members, but many of us feel the issue to it travel, especially if they are a bit younger. So we often have open space and open rooms. I do not expect any of them to return anytime sooner, so these are your rooms for now." and it's just like a carved out stone interior. It's not very big. It's like maybe 10 feet times 15 feet, with like a kind of self handmade wooden bed that has been inlaid with like moss, leaves, stuff like that. But there are some hand knitted linen things that were kind of draped over it, so you aren't immediately on itchy stuff. It looks comfortable. But yeah, and various different wall paintings of like draconic and elven iconographies, and also like some how do you call them? Not paintings, but things that have been knitted that have like imagery in them, like a tapestry.
Tapestries?
Yeah, like a tapestry that are also hanging from the walls, and obviously a carpet on the floor as well.
Yeah, we'll make ourselves home and tie you up before we leave.
All right. I guess what do you guys do now as you're inside of this somewhat clustered place?
Good question.
I would pull Eirik and Fiera in a room with me and let them know what I saw of my scry over with my dad and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should go.
Let's see. Do you think your mom's sick?
She clearly looked feverish. And then there was something about the king not acting himself. And after the meeting we had, when it all started, where we realized that the dwarf that was there was not the dwarf that was supposed to be there, I'm starting to wonder what's going on there. And
Interesting.
I mean, Veltrix was there.
That's not connection. Really curious how they met.
Of all people.
Did we say anything about your parents while they were with us?
They were not. They hadn't gone yet.
And your parents were planning to go into hiding, not... Or I guess,
Yeah.
were they going to meet with a special group, or...
They were supposed to just go on vacation style,
Vacation.
hide a little bit, be low key. Obviously, knowing my father, he had to get in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I am my father's daughter
Okay.
for a reason.
I'm just gonna start prepping sending while we're chilling, because I prepped combat spells because I thought we were gonna. I don't know. I wasn't sure what we were gonna run into.
We prepared everything for combat and nothing for chill.
Well, at least we didn't attack first. We talked first. That's new. Usually they attack first. Yeah. Well, Colas is big. If we can get in touch with them, that would make things easier. I could try reaching out to your father in Veltrix.
I'm sure if you
We have a
tell.
map.
I mean, you have met my father. He knows who you are. If you ask him where he is, most likely he will let you know where he is.
We do have a Colas map. Where did we get this? I don't remember when we got this.
When you were researching the crossing, where you found the
gate.
The gates that led you to hell.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh boy, what's on here?
Because we were gonna go to the gate, right, to deal with What's his
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the mines, peaks, Alps. Oh, I don't know what any of these cities mean. Isles, island. I mean, it's basically just a mountain surrounded by
Mm-hmm.
cities along the ocean.
That's Taiwan. Just said it's an island.
I was looking too at my cola stuff. There was that lady whose wedding ring I think I have.
Right.
I never got to that. Zelenon, where is that? Is that on here? Is that a different city?
Selenon? It's like way to the west, up in the cold.
Yeah.
Oh, I put Z. That's okay. Zelenon. So that's where she is. Okay. Keep track of things. Okay. Okay. Well, we can reach out tonight, figure out where they are, and if we want to tomorrow to check on them, and it would be nice to figure out what's going on, Colas, because they were at Melidor's cave entrance, making those
Yes.
teleport circles.
Yes.
We don't know what faction that is. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of
That's
questions.
the thing, right? There's a lot of questions, and I think we could have a lot of answers that tie back to what we're trying to achieve.
Also, a lot of enemies.
Mm-hmm. But if we can help, at the very least, the... I don't want to say the resistance. I don't like that word, because there's dark resistance that is bad. But the efforts to towards peace, if we want to help them, we can definitely help with the Kronberg side of things, tell them what we know about his endeavors and, what we saw and what happened and all that. That could give them a lot of, things against him. Last time I spied on him, he seemed to be on the run. Where to, I don't know, but
It,
I mean, I can, yeah. I can once again, try to see where he is, try to...
I was wondering, can you scry again? Actually, I'm thinking about somebody else.
Yeah, I can.
Can you scry on that dwarf from the meeting? The red-haired dwarf who he called himself Tyron Dwenningard?
He pretended to be Tyron? Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious if he's alive.
Mm-hmm. I could do that, yep. And I'll sit back down. This time in a very open way with my basin. And I'll concentrate on the person that pretended to be Tyron during our very first meeting.
Alright, well, what will that be? So you saw him? How much does that help?
It basically is a +0 to the save modifier. I met the target. I don't know the target, but I met the target.
Alright.
I don't have a picture or any other likeness other than the image I have in my head. I don't have any garment or other possession, and I don't have any body part, lock of hair, bit of nail, or anything. So it's a flat 0. It's a flat save. It's a flat 18. Wisdom 18.
Yeah.
Save.
Alright. Alright.
Die on the loose.
No, it was just covered by a very inconveniently placed dice box. But yeah, you start to kind of, start to scry, and once again, you're focusing on the image. Probably a face you haven't thought about in a long time, but you try to reconstruct it as best as possible. And as you do so, you see that, as per usual, ripples start to appear in your bowl of water. And I'm assuming you're doing this time openly and not hiding
Yep.
it. And the others, you can also see how her bowls just start to ripple with water, as if there's like a tiny vibration shaking the bowl itself. As it does so, once again, the water inside gets refracted and an image appears. And you can see the same, just a little bit more crude face of this diplomat that you have seen before. And has kind of like, this time, not red hair anymore. Seems to be black and it's kind of combed to the side. And has a somewhat shaven beard now, not a very thick beard like you've met him the first time. And he seems to be wearing like very dark clothing, almost like a black hoodie of sorts, and then very loose black pants. And he seems to have like a couple of tools just attached to a belt. And he's currently just sitting on a chair, almost seemingly waiting. And you can't make much out of the room, but it seems like he's either underground, interior, or somewhere else. And then he's like just looking around. At some point just spits onto the ground. And
How long does your scry last?
10 minutes.
Okay.
and then
I could send him a message.
Oh god. Oh my god.
I see you.
Ooh, you're being watched.
That'd be so cruel.
Holy crap.
We should do that to Kronberg.
We'll do that next time, Kronberg. That's fine.
around 5 minutes pass, unless you wish to send him a message during these 5 minutes.
Not yet.
Okay. Where suddenly he seems to stir up and kind of rights himself, and you hear a voice from the other side that kind of says, I am sorry that I had to keep you waiting. Well, what is it that you have to report? But you don't see the figure. He seems to be standing too far away for your squad to see it, and he kind of juts up and says, he kind of swallows very hardly. Well, it seems like the preparations are going as planned. Our excavation site has not yet been discovered in the... we are currently in the next process of trying to, establish the bridge that we have, that you have designed for us. But it seems like the kind of shifts of the thieves. Do not be so invigorated. Calm yourself. Clear words. I don't have all day. Yes, of course. Well, you see, my men in Azathia are just a bit afraid about the current situation that has been happening. If we get found out, it's going to be detrimental. I don't care about it. Tell me, how far has the bridge come? Well, we are able to trespass now into the area, and we've managed to connect it our minds. So at least when the next step is to be scheduled, I think we will have it ready by then. All right. Well, then make sure it stays that way. All right.
Yes, of course. I have been managing in the international focus away from, uh, our outpost. Very well. It is a convenient place, but also dangerous at the same time, but it is a perfect target. Maybe our first test. Oh, that would be an honor, sire. Let's see. Is Danasan or Koza shall fall first? Alright. Yes, of course. Can I return? And then it cuts off.
Ugh.
Like, you said Xanathon or Core something?
Zanathan. Yeah, Zanathan
Korzar.
or Korzar falls first.
Where are those? Azathia?
We're close to Korzar. Well, close-ish to Korzar. That's the military town. And Zanathan is the capital.
Oh. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yep.
How are they?
Yep. Yup.
Why
Yup.
would they attack Ravine Connection?
Mm-hmm.
That has to be it, right? They have something in the ravine that connects them there that lets them attack them underground. Why are they attacking Azathia? I thought they were going to be allies.
That's that's the branch that is against. That is the traitors. That's the people my father's working against.
Interesting. Okay.
They were working with Kronberg and the Blood Legion.
Ah, boy. Well, that was an interesting scry. Hmm.
They have an outpost somewhere between Korzar and Zanathan.
Yeah.
Both cities must be made aware of it.
We need to have some sort of proof, though.
I have Zone of Truth.
See, Zanta is just east of
Mm-hmm.
Grosserberg, so it's like over
Yes.
here.
Yep. It's just out of our more
Yeah.
focused map of where we are right now. Yep.
A bridge.
A physical bridge, metaphorical bridge, mental bridge.
That's someone. Is there just a giant
Mm-mm.
chasm underneath?
Mm-mm. They connected the mines. Don't forget, they're dwarves.
So there's just a bunch of mines underground that they've connected and are using.
Yep.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
They're not saying underground the way Suna and Air has the underground. They're literally
Right.
meaning under the ground.
Yeah.
Curious. Curious. Oh, too many questions. Okay. I mean, information is the name of the game.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's figure out where your parents are,
Yes.
share info, and then figure out what to do next.
Yes.
If they're about to attack Krozar, that is detrimental, as they protect us from what's in the ravine.
They have to be the first to be warned. And I have a
We have
they're
to bring them something, though.
I'm telling you, I have zone of truth. I cannot speak. I cannot lie.
But if you're the one casting it,
There is a teleportation circle from Korzar to Sunanir back to Zanathan.
where's the teleport? I gotta find the map here. Teleport map.
All the maps. I guess I can also take
Yeah.
the views to a map.
Oh, there is one at Korzar, huh?
Yes.
How far away are we? I guess where are we? Oh, where we? I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not gonna think about that. Interesting.
Just put you guys
Do you know what family runs Korzar? It's the military family, right?
Yes, it is the military family.
Do we know anybody from that family?
Do I know anyone from that family?
No.
No, okay. No,
Yeah.
no, I don't. Sorry. Out of my
Yeah, your purview.
I was more in the national, international affairs side of things.
Right.
I was never meant to be a fighter the way I am right now.
Death Tree was okay, so I can get us within 90 miles pretty much whenever. Okay, I will prepare a sending. Who am I sending to? Could do
Yeah, you
Veltrix,
or
that'd be fun.
Veltrix. Yeah.
What was your dad's name?
Solon.
So great. I hope he's not protected from. Well, you were able to scry on him. Okay.
I do have the feeling that he makes himself available to me. Or to us. In some capacity.
Okay. I'll just make a quick evening, Cernan. We need to talk in person. Where are you now, and where will you be tomorrow? Still with your daughter.
You get a rather quick response, and you... Yeah? Ah, glad to hear. You both are doing all right. I am in Horsvan tomorrow too. Let's meet. Tell me where.
Oh, that's gonna be cold. That's my first thought. That will be cold. you see if you heard to start shivering.
Okay, we're going to the snow.
Possibly. Oh, I haven't. There's a 25% chance I can get us there. So...
Put us all on the map just so I can also show my viewers.
This is where
Yeah,
we're trying
yeah.
to go.
Oh, that's white circle and white snow. That doesn't work out.
Oh boy.
There we go. There it is.
There it is indeed.
Let me see here.
Awesome. What's the mileage like on this map?
Just
A million.
yeah, use a ruler and you'll know.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oops. Oops. Not what I wanted to do.
That's a big country.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a quick walk.
Yet
That's a
multiply
very,
that
very
by 10 by going up and down mountains.
easy peasy. A day and a half at most.
Oh boy.
Okay.
We've been lucky with teleports so far. I might just tell him, give us a few days. We're gonna be. How big's the forest if we? Okay. 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 Let me look at my spell. Okay. So mishap, 50% chance, and then similar area off target. So 25. Similar area is the one that scares me the most.
Just thinking off the cuff, is there any chance, if we went back to the archives, that there is something there that maybe Zephygus has, or any kind of thing that we can find that has come from there? I know we're not allowed to take stuff out of the archive, but like, I don't know, if there was a book that was written there, are we able to convince him to let us use it or something?
Oh boy. Spending even a day looking for something would be easier. Or we could see if there's an export from there. That actually might be the way to go.
I mean, to be fair, we should go back anyway and research the area, because we don't know anything.
Okay. Very true. Okay, I'll just do a simple message back. We'll be in Hasvan in a couple days. I'll check in if anything changes. Tell Beldrix hi.
Yikes.
Get an immediate response. He says hi back. If you arrive, tell me when you come, and then meet me at the city gate at the Champions Plaza.
Oh, I hope there's a tournament there. We're fighting. But
The wizard shouldn't be the one getting us into fights.
The wizard has been trying
spells.
The wizard has been trying to get us into an arena fight since day one.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
It is
The best
crazy.
place to test spells at.
Yeah, it's kind of sick.
Okay, yeah, I passed all that along. Okay. Okay. So we have a couple days. Looks like he isn't going anywhere. I assume if they're doing some underground thing, that's going to take time. That's miles to traverse. If anything, even if we gave a warning, what could we warn them? That watch under your feet? They already do that.
They're just gonna make a new ravine.
We don't know. Okay. think. So we know your parents are there. We know Veltrix is there. We can
Mhm.
guess. Was it Tanari? No. Yeah, Tanaria. She might be there.
I think she followed Veltrix back.
They were together last we checked.
Mhm.
Oh, wasn't there a Starfrost Forest? Oh boy. Oh god knows. There's an academy or something. Star. I have 21 stars. Star. Oof. She studied at some academy. Starlight Academia in Star Forest. Ah, no.
The Starfrost Forest. Yeah. It's right there.
Oh boy.
It's right up here.
Well, we're adding that to the place we're gonna stop to.
That's that's a mere 285 miles. We've
Oh,
done
we
that.
can do that. That's
So
fine.
we're good. We're good. We're good.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we know where we're going. I can probably bring us back to the archive today. Spell slots. Do I have a fifth? I do have one more fifth. Okay. Okay. Yeah, why don't we just do that?
Yeah.
Go research, know what we're getting into, try to find an easier way there. If we can figure out what exports they have, or if there's just something in the art. I don't know if we can borrow from the archive.
I'm
But,
sure we
yeah,
can probably ask in town around if anyone has anything from there.
We need to figure out everything about that city.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a larger city going by how they're depicted on the map.
Yeah.
It does
It's-
seem like it's a bigger. It seems like it's even bigger than the mines.
Yeah, it looks like capital, maybe? I don't know. That's
No,
interesting.
Chaldean is the capital, but it's inside the mountains, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's neat.
Mm-hmm. If I remember my history lessons correctly, Chaldean is inside the mountains, which makes sense for dwarves.
Well, actually, no. It is on the very apex of the Velcron apex. So it's on the very tippity top of that mountain.
Top of a mountain?
Of course it is.
Let's teleport there. That won't go wrong.
Let's go see the Grinch.
Yeah, it's actually how you
Oh.
can imagine it, yes.
Let's go to Chaldean, and then I'll turn into a griffin, and I'll descend us down to Hosvan. Easy.
Yep. Interesting. Okay, well, anything left to do here? Looks like enough.
I mean, we might as well just ask if they need anything from us if we're going traveling.
That's true. Could always bring them back things that they would need that they maybe cannot reach for often, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Now that I've been here, I can come back quite easily.
Why? Do you ask anyone?
I'll ask the most random child I see. No. They'll ask for like ice cream or something.
Ice cream. Well,
Yep.
well, just talking with them. If you do that, and assume you do that, and just asking around, they, most of them, either just ask for the incense back, or they don't really need anything. You know, it's like you get the feeling that they're like, it's like asking tribal people if they need something, and they only know of the things that they can immediately get their hands on, that grows in the surroundings, so they aren't like consciously aware that there's like much out there.
I will pass along that our next visit we will bring
Snow.
we'll bring food they probably haven't tried before.
Like, they seem excited.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
And maybe tools and that kind of thing. Like we'll bring gift basket. How about that?
All right. Very excited about your return. One of the elders say.
Okay.
All right, then. What is the plan?
All right. Well, teleport circle can get us back to the archive, and then we can figure out how to get to Hasfan, which is very, very, very far away.
Our biggest challenge.
Our biggest travel. I mean, hell's pretty far, but.
Well, that's not really count though. That's a big question. Yeah. I mean, it's your first time out of. Well, no, okay, you went to Canaan. That's true. You didn't went. You've been outside of.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. New country.
New country.
It'll be Isarel's first time outside of Azathia. If you don't count the Feywild as one,
Yeah. All right. So.
Yeah. I'll prep teleport circle, and
Okay.
I think I have a ton of ink left, which I'm sure. So here's somewhere teleporting. Oh yeah. Got 8 castings.
Okay. Then you'll kind of just get yourself back together. And long has it been due to return to your favorite place. Good old archives cannot spend more than 10 episodes before you return back to your favorite place. And yeah, it's done easily enough, and I don't think we have to go through details. But you arrive in the Inquisition headquarters within De La Solis, but they are fully aware of your presence, and obviously you're officially now allowed to travel, especially as newly announced heroes, which is still in the memory of some of these people. And it has been like, what, 3-4 days since the announcement. So it's still recent.
Better be French.
But you do see that there is a definite surge in just stress that's been going around, and it becomes very well clear just by briefly going through the Inquisition to the archives that a lot of people that are talking about the sudden premonition that seems to have been emitted globally, and it seems like you weren't the only ones who had this, but it seems like almost everyone got either this weird dream or this sense, and especially this shift of the color, and obviously through the disappearance of the astral vestige and the appearance of the sudden shattered landscape of the moon has put a lot of questions.
So we did finally learn that the astral vestige had to do with the Everdome, and they were probably acting as the seal from that spot, maybe?
You don't know, but it's not there anymore. Yeah. And so as you enter within the archives, you're kind of bummed to see that there are a bunch of people in the archives. Obviously, after the events of a day ago, everyone wants to try and figure out what the fuck is going on. And so there's a sudden
Yeah.
surge of just academic, studious people. Some learned, some less learned, though only, people with degrees are able to enter the archives. But it is fuller than usual. But the archives is huge, so even with the amount of people going around here, there's still enough space. But you just notice, in comparison to when you're usually here, you maybe saw like 10 people when you went down. Now you see at least between 50 to 100 people that have kind of cluttered in either study rooms. And you can actually see it also for the first time as you go down to see O'Toole, who's in heavy conversation with people who are asking for a necklace and begging him to give them a necklace so they can dig deeper. That you kind of room, the lounge area that you usually wait where you can read at, has now suddenly expanded. And then there's like suddenly a hallway instead with a bunch of sofas set up, almost like to accommodate the increase of people here. And Fiera, you immediately sense this is magic that's being done. Somehow the dimensional space within here has been changed and apparently can be increased at will to just accommodate the capacity of more people here. And you can even see now doors that line the way on the side of the walls that used to didn't have any doors, that are just study rooms where people are coming in and out of all the time. And Otto greets you very kindly and says,
Oh, hello.
it has been a little while. I assume you need entrance to the archives.
Look to Eric. Do you think you can find on your own, or do you need my help? I do have a little homework of my own.
I mean, just what are we looking for? We're looking for what exports there are, information about the city,
Mm-hmm.
Creatures or anything. Just every basic information. Yeah, I can probably find something.
Okay. Good. Well, if you do need me, I guess I'll be in study room. Are there like numbers on the doors or anything like that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. And Z12.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll head to the room. The
Oh.
C seems fine.
Yeah.
And I have a scroll to start scribing. Ugh, it's gonna take a while though.
Yes. Well, then I just we can all just quickly describe what you wish to do. Obviously, O'Toole gives you the access to the deepest parts of the archives. You see some of the people around you are like, oh, and some of you recognize you, and they're like, oh. But most of them, they're like doing the side eye where they're trying to, pretend like they're not paying attention to you, so you don't feel awkward, but that just makes you feel even
They
more
try to
awkward.
pretend that they don't see you while actively staring at you like this, and
Yeah,
they're like,
exactly. Some of
They're
them,
No.
following you.
yeah, some of them like doing the arcane equivalent of like a camera to take a photo of you with their minor illusion, just trying to capture the image. They're like looking away, but it's very obviously, yeah, you're somewhat famous in this space. But nonetheless, okay, I guess we just go down or out. And of course, we will start with Eirik. I mean, no, you don't have to. If you need more time, we can take someone else.
Mine's really quick.
I'm ready as well.
You let them
Okay.
go first.
Well, I guess Fiera, if yours is quick.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna send a sending to Vidal and Elamir, the gem guy, my gem guy.
Jim guy.
Yeah, I'll make it as simple as possible. I was wondering if you can do commission work.
Response. Totally forgot how it was this, but let's just improvise.
I probably have the description somewhere.
I think it was like a little bit snobbish, right? If I remember correctly.
All I have is he's a Benthra. That's
Ah.
that's my note. I have one note.
Yeah, I think it was snobbish. He will say, yes, of course. Whatever you need.
Okay. I need both a sturdy and quality vial for liquids. Can open, refill, and close shut. I can drop off 800 gold later.
In what ways is this related to gems? I can cut jewelry. I'm not quite sure about this.
A vial adorned with gems.
That is all I needed to hear. Alright. I'll try my best and come up with a design.
Got it. Let me ask how long. Hold on. How many standings do we have left to this? One, that's two. How long do you need?
Ooh. How much gold does this have to be worth?
At least 600. I was gonna give him 800 because I
Okay.
assume he wants to make money.
Yeah. He will. 600. Around between 5 and 10 days.
That is a comeback thing. Okay, then I'm just gonna spend all my time learning my other scroll from Laszlo.
Aha, I see. Alright, then I guess we can go to Skit.
Yes. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
First of all, I'll spend some time in the lobby, druid crafting mushrooms, making them into powder, mushroom, powder, for a while until I have about 25 gold worth of it.
God. That's a.
Yeah. I'm just grinding. So that's the first thing I do. And then I'm like, okay,
This much.
yes, I know.
It's gonna smell.
Yeah, I was just
It's
about
gonna
to say.
smell.
People think you're doing something
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, good. And I just stuff it into my bag of holding. Because I was prepping for some stuff. And then I'll just head to the third layer
Alright.
in the geography section.
Mm-hmm.
And I will start researching about the geography of Hosvan and the city, like where it's located at, the terrain, the fauna, the flora, like the basically the city itself and its surroundings, so that we know like what's the temperature like. Is it like more like plateaus of snow, or is it like foresty, or I know it's on the coast, so like what's basically about. I'm gonna start larger and go with like the area of Hosvan, like where it's located in Colis, like what's it like basically.
All right, so kind of geography and a little bit of like logistics, I guess.
Kind of. Well, it's more of a, you know how you can like find in libraries or stuff, like you have books in the geography section that are like, I don't know, like a bigger city like Boston, and you have like these images of I know it's not the same, but you know, there are like images of the city, and like, oh, there's like, these are the suburbs, that what it looks like, and it's like a catch-all of like, this is what Boston looks like, and then you can go like more deeper and have like stuff on the politics of Boston, and like, oh, the schools of Boston and all that. But I'm basically looking for the more general, like,
Yes.
it looks like this.
Yeah. All right. I would say you cranking up those mushrooms would have taken a large portion of time, since it is
Yes.
a cantrip, and technically that's not possible, but I allow it because it's fun.
I mean, yes, she would be like
Exactly.
in her corner for a while.
So, I am assuming you're spending the whole day here anyways, but I will
Yes.
deduct a whopping 5 hours from that
Yep,
dedicated
that's totally fine.
to crushing
That's
mushrooms.
totally fine.
And a lot of weird
She's probably
stats.
exhausted. Her hair has started to look a little bit disheveled, and
Yeah, you're sweating a bit. Also, your hands have cramped a bit.
yeah.
All right. So, how many hours do you wish to dedicate to that?
Probably like 3 hours.
All right.
Yeah, about 3 hours, because I want to make sure that, if we can't find more specific, at least I have a good idea of the lay of the land that I can describe to Fiera, so that she knows like what to imagine in her head. Try to help her, but also so that we can prepare ourselves for what's out there.
Yeah.
Because we're basically going in blind, and I'm trying to avoid that.
Then make an investigation check.
Okay.
18.
I'll yep.
Makes sense. It is one of the largest cities, and so you do find quite a bit about it as well. So you can just look into one of the local notebooks that just talks about prominent cities, and obviously it is one of the most prominent ones within Collis, and that is, you realize, it is one of the 3 main cities of Collis that are like hold the kind of how should you call it, like political powers within Collis. There's obviously the big capital, Chaldean, which is also referred to as the royal capital. And then the core reach mines, which is also its own city. It's not just mines. And then, of course, Hosvan is one of the largest prominent ones. And what you will very easy find out is that it is a prominent port city. So most of the things that they do is just governing logistics around Collis, because it has such a huge port. It fulfills almost a similar role as Suna and Nia and Azathia, because they are directly attached to the northern seas, and the city is just kind of hooked up there, and it is built in a way where it can just hold a lot of goods and therefore then transport them. So a lot of logistics go through Hosvan, which is why it's one of the most prominent cities, and grew in size quite exponentially during the growth of Collis. And it is unlike Azathian, a very structured and symmetrical city. Azathian cities tend to be a little bit on the more chaotic side, with many different districts and many different areas of living that are separated in various ways. But Hostvan is quite simple in structure, but it's still a large city, as from one wall to the other is like a mile long, which is like a fifth of the size of Sunania. And it is prominent because the main part of the city is directly to the coast, but directly in front of the main part is a small island that is connected with a bridge where the noble estate connects to. And that is where the ruling family of this city has their seat. Has the seat, which is Lord Ventrax Moradon, who is the head of the Moradon Sea Association, which is one of the ruling kind of guilds / factions within Collis. So there's a lot of political power.
Can I have a spell check on that, please?
Yes, of course. Assistant, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you very much. And he belongs to one of the head members of the Tharul Iron Council, which is basically just similar to the dukedom of Azathia. They're a council that governs with the king, and they kind of, give him advice on things. But obviously, the supreme ruler of Collis is the king and queen. Yeah, and most notably about the surrounding super cold. Entire city's covered with snow. The temperatures usually during the day reach minus 20 degrees Celsius, and in the evening can drop as deep as minus 40 degrees Celsius.
So a good old regular winter day in Canada, nothing big. All right, we're used to it.
Exactly. But the seas directly in front of Hostvan are what are quote unquote the dangerous things, because if it is almost magically infused with a certain amount of cold, so if you drop inside of there, dying from hypothermia happens within seconds. So you definitely don't want to get your skin wet if you suddenly drop into the ocean there. And more specifically, the seas.
So
yeah.
No teleporting into the sea. Good.
Yeah, best to avoid. And directly north of Hostvan are the shifting ice, which is a very famous geographical area. Which is there's a huge vortex that basically just kind of has it so that the big glaciers that are floating there just kind of swirl around all the time, and it's a gargantuan vortex, hundreds of miles large in radius. And because of that, the terrain or the seascape is a little bit difficult to navigate if you don't know how to use it, because it's very difficult to kind of go to the west, because the vortex is going anti-clockwise. So they have special ships. They developed special ships with clockwork engines that can kind of go against the strong current that gets created by the vortex. So they have machine-powered ships. A lot of their industry is also heavily reliant on the mechanization of a lot of their transportation and logistics. Especially their shipyards have developed drastically over the years. And that is why a big part of the economy also comes from just fishing within the shifting ice, because a lot of large sea creatures call that place their home. And obviously with the cold that exists there, the creatures grow extremely large, and they have had a successful time running business of just catching big fish and selling them because they're very valuable. Yeah, I think those are the most important pieces. Well, the other notable thing is they indeed have an arena, which is called the Champions Plaza, within the Valhall Champions Arena. And it is one of the trademark things of Hostvan, and it's just the culture of Collis to have these fighting tournaments, and the dwarves love it. It is heavily sponsored by the throne and other entertainment industries that also exist within
That
Hosvan.
makes sense because they brought Calyx around too.
Exactly. And yeah, it even notes specifically, and this is a new update in the file that you're reading, that Calyx was subjugated to Hosvan first before it was brought over to Azathia, and no one was able to do that to defeat him. And then he was brought over. Whether or not that was just diplomatic things or just, a ruse to say, oh,
Weird stuff.
no one in Collis was able to defeat it, so we bring it to Azathia. If that was just, fake news spread, or if that really happened, we aren't quite sure. But yeah, that is the most famous arena next to the Velkron Apex Arena, which is in the capital of Chaldean.
We have to. We I don't think I can do anything else until I do go to the arena now. Just. Well, can you cast magic? Does it say? I guess I'm not there, but I'm gonna ask her when she comes back. If you can use magic in the arena.
Well, by reading through, it seems to be an all-in, all-out arena. You can do whatever the fuck you want. They have variant different styles on what things you. Sometimes you fight against other competitors. Sometimes you fight against creatures. Sometimes the goal isn't even just fighting a creature. They have things where you have to transport one thing to another place, or try and find out who the changeling is and stuff like that. That's they have various of different tourneys there. Yeah.
Matt just wants a whole new campaign.
I don't remember anything else I was doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Fiera has a new goal.
Yes. The last thing I would then add to that is the last bit of their biggest economy is lumber, coming from the Sapphoros forest. They've been kind of wooding down large portions of it, which you can, while you're reading, comes with a bit of disdain, but also, some environmentalists are obviously against it, especially the academy within the Sapphoros forest was heavily against it. But because the throne pushed for it, there's nothing you can do. If the throne decides it, then it will be done. And though Collis isn't the largest country, but it has one of the largest or most fortified military in the continent. So they have small numbers, but the numbers they do have are heavy hitters. So they have a lot of the industry is to kind of bump up military. Yes. Oh, and a lot of kind of ore mines within Heems, the country above Collis, also comes through Hosvan. Specifically, selenized tungsten, which you would be able to see again there. Yep. And that's all for now. I'm saying as if there was nothing. So I guess now we get to Eirik.
Yeah. So there may be a little bit of information overlap with what Iserel already found, but I would like to spend 2 hours in the modern history section, looking up information about recent problems, catastrophes, dangers of the area. Have there been, big fights with anything, demons, creatures, just the general sort of the risks of that area. I will spend 2 hours in the history section just learning about, just the information about the import and export industry there, if there's anything super specifically that's literally the only thing you can the only place you can find something is Hosvan. Is there anything that is strictly from there? And then the other 4 hours I would like to spend in the Modern Arcana section, looking up information about machines and technology related to the mining industry up north, and things that have been discovered down there, and if there's any sort of maps or diagrams about different mines systems, anything like that.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go by them one by one, because that was the first one, which is just dangers, any notable dangers within the last couple of years. So I can make an investigation check on that. And how many hours did you said?
2 hours.
All right. 26. There have been some, well, we'll call it like some catastrophes. One is obviously they're still privy to demon attacks, and most notably there's a special type of demon that has been started to appear recently, which the blight of which manifests itself differently from the regular ones that you encounter in the rest of the world, which is the blight is white and seems to react differently to what the usual black blight that you see in the normal lands do, which is it kind of just freezes, and then only when you interact with it, it rapidly spreads. And normal blight is just by itself spreads very, very slowly, but never in rapid succession. So that is something that has been discovered over the years, and that has been kind of increasing. And because Heems above it is so big, and though it is patrolled by heavy sets of legions that are occupied by the Holy Religios, there's such a vast landscape of just pure Arctic snow, the Bifrost wastelands, that a lot of demons still appear there and manage to grow, and then sometimes come to the Corundel Wall, which is the northernmost wall of Collis. And this wall is in constant repair and always in struggle and trying to protect the border from demonic attacks. And there have been several catastrophes of like larger ship expeditions that went into the shifting ice but then got caught by the moving glacier. As well as there seems to have been a large demonic incident somewhat like several decades ago, so this isn't as modern, but the consequences of which still last or permeate through now, which is the Blighted Woods, that a extremely large demon appeared there and was just kind of roaming around, and nobody noticed until it was almost too late. And it brought there used to be a city that was inside of the Blighted Woods that was a mainly lumber-based city, but it got completely annihilated by this one demon. But then after the military, the Iron Lionhearts, which is the military of Collis, they managed to take care of it, but not without suffering heavy, heavy casualties. And from reports, they believe that was probably a class A, if not even S demon, almost on the verge of becoming a manifest demon. Manifest demon is like the theoretical demonic singularity that a demon can reach, and then you just fucked. The only historical notes are from the age of chaos or darkness when these things were met, but they were always had to be fought by light bearers or large entire Crusader legions. And that's why, because the team was so huge, it spread so much blight that they weren't able to get rid of it in the forest, and so it's just kind of left in a state to be contained, to try and have it not spread further, but they aren't able to get rid of it because it just affected the entire woods. And that's why that is a very dangerous spot. But that obviously is in the other side of the country, so nothing for you to worry about. And those are the only kind of dangerous catastrophes that have happened in the area there.
Okay, cool. Then 2 hours in history, looking for, exports and materials, items that are specifically related to Hassan.
All right, yes, make another investigation check. Got another 26. Yes, one of the main things which you would find is obviously Zelen Ice Tungsten, which gets transported from Heems, but it only gets transported from Hostvan itself. Even though it is mined in Heems, you can only get this in Heems. And you only, well, you're looking specifically for Hostvan, right? Not Collis.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But the most prominent thing and most frowned upon thing is blue glass and ice salt, which, with your connection with Aria, you remember that is how the drug was made, and it's
Yep.
the main component of the drug. And that is found within the shifting ice. And that is something that can only be mined with the help of the modern ships that were developed and built within Hostvan, because you have to go to specific glaciers that have this salt that accumulate on the edge of where the ice and the waves meet, and then it's kind of just built up there. And mining that is extremely dangerous. Obviously because of the tides and the sea creatures that exist there, and just the equipment needed to get that. So those are the main big things that are specific to Hostvan, are those materials, but nothing else.
Okay. And the last 4 hours, learning about the technology of mines, mining, looking for maps of mines, information about, entrances and exits and stuff, all kinds of stuff like that.
All right. 28. Yes. Funnily enough, though, obviously dwarves are heavily associated with mines. Their main export really just comes from the core reach mines, even though Chaldean also has their own personal mines, and they go within the mountains of the Velkron Apex, while the core reach mines were built on the mountain called the Merides Peak. But the other cities and villages that are outside, they don't really have mines because they're at the coast. There's not much to mine there other than the occasional coastal reefs and sea gems that get found there, but there's not strong operations. The entire operations were focused on the core reach mines, which had to go to see how deep they can go, quite literally. And with the 28, you would find that they quite literally have, from the very top of the core reach mines, managed to go through the entire mountain, all the way down, where they encountered kind of like a subterranean tunnel that is deep, deep, deep underground, like several miles underground. And this mining expedition took years, decades, centuries even, that they began to build an entire society that is just for this mine. And the city then was created within this. And that is what is now known as the core reach mines. And as you kind of looking through all the details of this, you find a lot of very specific ores are found only here. There's brute iron, which is just a strong form of iron that has a more brown orangish tint, almost like rusted iron. They have rod tongue iron, that is an even more heavily and super kind of reinforced iron that is naturally found. Obviously, adamantine comes from the core reach mines. Corresian teeth, which is a special salt that can only be found there, and they kind of create these very beautiful large stalactites out of one portion of the mines. And they also have Corresian glow crystals. That's like a naturally grown crystal that emanates a small faint blue color. And they can store a special type of magical energy that increases the density of oxygen around the area of the crystal, almost like an air purifier. which they then use to, obviously, the depths of the mines is very difficult to breathe because the air sometimes is very stale. And with all that, you also find a map for the city that lives there, which is just called the Courage Mines. And that is what it looks like.
Oh, I love it. Oh my god.
How did you make this? Did you like look at like actual real life maps of? I don't even know.
Wow.
Yeah, just
Whoa.
I'm copying all of that down.
yeah, sure. By the way, so each section on the right is a sort of like a district of the city. So they
God.
have a extremely complicated network of elevators that go from the very top to the very bottom. The depths, but obviously only personnel with specific keycards are allowed to enter the different regions of the mines. And people live there, so depending on your working spots, you either work at the Valkyrie Scarf, the Velman's Reach, or the Ruizen Depths, or the Calvaris Descent, or even the Black Belt.
Amazing.
Dang.
That's so cool. And is there any way to know what that's the crest up in the corner is? Is that like the city's crest?
That's the crest of the just of colors. Their symbol in general is a lion, and the military is also called the Iron Lion Hearts.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sick. That's one hell of a dungeon delve.
Yeah. I mean, my other party went through this mines, that's why I had that prep for a while.
Cool.
Yeah, that's neat. Good.
All right, was that all?
Yeah, that was 8 hours.
Very nice. Then, I guess Fiera, we kind of conclude things with you because I think, do you have enough time to finish your spell?
I mean, they could try to stop me, but I plan to do it all. It will take 12 hours. That's like midnight.
All right, yeah.
But one question is, while I'm writing it over and kind of learning about it,
Yes.
I was wondering, so I need that vial worth 600 gold. Is there a way I could use... I don't know if I should say this. I have Tiamat's blood and I have my blood.
Yeah.
Would I be able to make a vial for myself using those two components? That would be worth 600 gold?
Why would you do that?
All right. Which spell exactly are you doing again? I think I forgot.
It's here. Where's the mad chat here? It's that one.
Wait. I have to look at my Discord. Let me see. Sneaky wizard.
It just says a bloody vial worth 600 GP. I don't think the blood is used up.
Ah, okay. All right. Yeah, let me check that. I mean. Oh yes, oh no, it's a different one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same or different than the original version. This is the 2024 one.
You could definitely do that with the vial with Tiamat's blood, no problem.
Okay. Because
But
I have vials, and I looked at it. It's crystallized blood. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier, but I was trying to figure out how to get that component. Okay, so with Tiamat's blood, I can just use the spell.
exactly, because it has an innate connection to the realm that allows
yeah. That's what I figured.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but obviously there
But
was
I probably won't.
the
I'll have to like test this out to figure out what comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. That'll be the fun part.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll work on the spell until they stop me. So.
Yeah.
And then I'll send a message to the jeweler saying, I found an alternative method, but pearls. I need pearls. Please.
Yeah, he's been working on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Then that day is complete. And I guess you're kind of... Where would you kind of return to stay? Would you get the tower up? Would you just lay in... You could technically even sleep in the archives now that the study rooms have been kind of increased and some students are doing
Probably
it.
do that. Yeah, I'll crash there. That's fine.
All right. Well, this I'll treat this as like a kind of minor downtime. So is there anything else you guys would like to do? As it's now the first day in the fourth Voss. Another week has passed.
Jesus.
Another Voss, I should say. I should use my own terms. So I've officially
Oh, I mean, Oh, sorry, go ahead.
2 Voss until the peace meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I assume we've kind of all like found each other.
Yeah.
Start comparing notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll let you know where I am, and we can.
Yep.
Sure. What you two learned? I didn't learn anything.
I mean, we're gonna be
Okay.
cold. We need
I'll
to protect
probably-
ourselves.
Be okay, but a coat would be nice. I don't know if they have a winter clothing shop here.
I was gonna say, I'm sure up there they probably have more, reasonable clothing options that we can maybe go buy if and when we get there.
Well, your father was going to meet us, so
Yes.
we could ask
We
him to
can-
procure
yeah.
some.
Yeah. Like, whenever we contact him when we're ready to go, just let him know, like, hey, we're gonna need coats, by the way.
Right. Well, it's kind of hard to find something from there, right? Because if I don't have an object, then the best I can do is about a quarter chance of getting us there. And
Yeah.
about a
If-
quarter chance of getting us somewhere else or far away.
If the
There's not-
demon
yeah.
if the demon hadn't eaten the bottom half of Arya, we would still have that blue eyes thing. Salt. That is from there.
Which that in itself wouldn't take us exactly where we want, though. That's the problem.
We don't want to end up in the spinning glacier of death.
No,
Uh-uh.
no.
There's nothing that's gonna get us aside from an actual piece of something that came from the city. There's not
Even even the tungsten is from Heems. It wouldn't
it's-
help.
Right.
we would need something that's like literally from the city, and there's not a whole lot that we won't be able to just go and find like a store selling whatever from.
They have ships, so the worst thing that could happen is we end up, 10 to 20 miles north of the city.
In the frigid waters.
Yep. So that's the worst that could happen. I mean, I'll have fly. I'll be okay with the cold, but that's still not ideal. How can I get a better odds for us? Let me think here.
What was the teleport map up there? What was connected to what?
There's one at the capital. There's one at the Quaritch Mines.
Nothing to where we're going.
Not that I saw. Well, the academy. What if? I guess I don't know if. Oh god, I gotta remember her name. Tenaria. That sounds right.
Yep.
Yes. What if Tenaria knows teleport or teleport circle and can get us to the academy? I guess that's still a couple days out, but
It would help. that would give us like a real good place to drop into rather than going right to the coast. But then again, we're stuck in the middle of nowhere before we're able to get to Estarel's dad.
yeah, that'd still be a.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can just roll the dice, and I can cast live beforehand, just so we're ready.
If you were to try to get to my dad, if you tried to teleport to my dad, I mean, that wouldn't help, would it? It has to be a place, right? You can't think of someone, right?
No. I don't think
No.
it works that way.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just how it goes with teleports.
The sort of best like process that would keep us the safest, I think, would be, I think it would be a lot easier to find something that's come directly from the Quaritch mines and then get there, and from there, if we know we're in a safe place, somebody might have something that has come directly from Husband. But
Interesting.
it's just a matter of finding something
So
specific.
the anchor over them means they're a port city, I assume,
Yep.
which they pretty much all are. The academy might have something from there.
Could potentially Vasina have something from the academy since she's a scholar and she has done some digs and stuff? Maybe? Perhaps? I don't know.
Might have just a book that was written.
I don't.
Yeah.
Has she
Yeah,
chronicled?
something.
Well, she doesn't
We can
necessarily
ask.
have to have been there, but she might have something that is from there.
True. Yeah, should we
I'm
figure
just
out where
trying
she
to
is?
keep us in the safest possible route.
Well, Tenaria's been from the area.
Do we have anything from Veltrix or Tenaria that they gave us?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think so, no.
Right? We didn't exchange any goodies.
No. Next time we need to switch
We
locks
need-
of hair.
We need to start giving freebies and asking freebies from people.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna grab a message. What we think here? Ah, to freeze this up. Okay. So to Tenaria, I'll say good morning. Are you with Veltrix and Hasvan? We're planning how we can get there via teleportation. Curious about your academy.
Alright. You get a response. First you hear a big yawn, because it's like currently evening there. And then you hear... Wait, can you repeat what you said again? I just blanked out.
Yeah, are you with Veltrix and Hasvan? We're planning how to get there via teleportation. Curious about your academy.
As she responds, she says, Oh, yes, I am currently with Veltrix. My academy is quite secluded. There is a circle. Good luck.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Good luck. Okay. I'm okay. I'm just gonna pray. We're not gonna fight. I have stuff. To Vashina. Morning. Where are you currently at? We are in a pickle in the archive.
Get a response and he says, Oh, Pierre. I am currently in Sunaranir helping rebuild.
That makes sense. I know the circle for that place. If it's
Yeah.
operational.
I mean, we could just hop on the regular circle as well. There's one we can use the Inquisition.
Yeah, if they opened it up.
Yeah.
Or we can just go right to her office and just take what we need.
We could ask,
office?
like, can we help ourselves into your office to get what we need? She's probably gonna say no.
Well, you guys know that her office is actually in Zunania. She was just, for her research, staying within the embassy of Dallas Solis. For that one expedition she wanted to go with you guys. That's the reason why she was there. But her actual stay is in Zunania. Because you always went to her like hotel room to talk with her.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, she taught there.
I thought it was always her like an office.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
the only
always
place you met her.
imagined it as like her office away from home. Basically, whoops! It's mealtime for glamour. Just saw him zoom behind me.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see if the Inquisition has opened up that circle. Just wouldn't hurt to see the city.
Go back to the underground and get more drugs.
So if anything, we might be able to go to Chaldean, which would be interesting.
Yeah. Well, maybe if we teleport to Chaldean, we can buy something from Husvan
Exactly.
easier there.
Or somebody from that city. If we can find somebody that's been from the city, we can just use what they have, and then bring them back for free, like free travel for them.
And
Oh, are
hopefully
you
the food that they give us is from there, and we don't get sent to fucking Tellus or something.
Can you imagine? You're like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get to Husvan, and you're like, you end up in Yeshimon or something. You're all like bundled up with your coats and stuff, and you just pop into Yeshimon.
You just immediately burn to death.
Yeah. Suffocate.
Yeah, they thought you were just joking about teleporting, which is probably realistic. Yeah, should we go see Bashina then?
Yep.
Yeah, let's just keep hopping around.
I mean, now that we can teleport freely.
Yeah.
The port don't work.
That's the name of the game.
Yes.
All right. So
Ow.
do you go to the Inquisition? Yeah. You go there. You will unfortunately discover, since the occupation of the Holy Blood Legion, all teleportation circles within Zurania were destroyed because they were afraid of infiltration, and that's why they dismembered all of them, which is why there's currently like a large diplomatic struggle for embassy members and ambassadors to meet each other, since Zurania was like kind of the point of travel, but that's not possible anymore. And you
from the archives, we can go to Zanathan and go to Chaldean.
Which is the other point I wanted to mention, because of this diplomatic distress and the kind of the somewhat peace treaty between Azathia and the Holy Legionnaires, Collis has been distancing itself from Azathia ever since. And you need...
We just gotta roll the dice.
Yep.
Let's get a coat.
Oh my god. Yep.
Yeah, let's just go shopping for as many clothing options as we can get.
I'm going to buy a small jacket, a medium jacket, a large jacket, and an extra large jacket to get on top of it, and I'm gonna be all bundled up. It's the onion layer principle.
Yes, it works. I guess for everyone who is buying winter clothing, check off 10 gold for the precautions. You can look however you wish them to do. And in fact, they do sell here some like very sturdy winter clothing, surprising to you.
Good.
Especially in the odd shops.
I'm gonna spend an extra 10 and just get some for Jade.
Ah.
Oh. That is smart.
That is smart.
You get
Okay.
little booties for glamour.
Honestly, we might have to.
Poor Paul.
Or glamour.
Do fey creatures get cold and warm? Probably.
Yeah, have to be. These are the links.
I mean, whether he gets cold and warm doesn't really matter. I just want to put booties on glamour.
He would like walk like this.
yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Okay.
Also, if we wanted to actually go to Suna and Ear, you could take.
Yeah, I know. We can. It's just.
Like, I'm right here.
I believe in us. I believe in the dice.
They've been doing you
If
good.
it doesn't work, I'll just summon the tower somewhere and we can just stay warm in there and.
Deal with wherever we are
Yep.
tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Every time I add it, it doesn't. Oh, there it is. Okay. Challenge close, sure. Should be closed. Okay, I'm just gonna double check my spells and then we should be good to go. Cola spells, I don't know. Get ready for all sorts of combat. Yep. Oh. Need that. God, there could be demons.
There's gonna be mad demons. Oh, that was the
Yep.
thing we didn't talk about. I found out that there are different kinds of demons up there with different kinds of blight.
Great. That sounds wonderful. I know Dwarven. Okay, that's good. Anybody else know Dwarven? Besides me?
Dwarvish, yes.
Okay. That should be good enough. Okay. Sending was ready. Yep. That's ready. Yep. I don't know. Sure. Oh, I don't need teleport circle. Okay. Do you need tower? Weird. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Couldn't be more ready.
Okay, so
Whoa.
where are we going?
All right. I'm gonna try to teleport us to. Aswan. Sure.
Okay.
All right. I get my 2d10s out.
Like I've been nailing the last couple teleports, so I'm overconfident.
Oh.
I believe.
You gotta believe.
I will cast fly on. You can already fly. You have your boots. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got boots.
Okay, I will cast fly on Azrael and myself.
I can turn
This-
into a bird if need be.
This just in case we are
Yeah. Yeah.
over water.
We shall see. So, within the archives, you start.
Oh, I'll leave the archive. I'll be outside. This is. I get to in the lobby.
Oh. Yes, so you go out into the city and prepare yourself and also your fellow compatriots for a journey across the country, northbound, to hopefully land to Hosvan as you try to visualize a cold, frigid space. A city bustling with ships immediately next to ice and glaciers moving around in a large vortex. Aiming there.
He's in disbelief.
Yeah, just have to double check.
Are there going to be more rolls?
Let me see again. So, as Fiera once again starts to prepare a spell, you are confident you have found the connection and then open up this cross-dimensional space, which once again leads through the void itself, and you push your friends through and go through it yourself. As you step through, you feel very, very confident that the connection is secure. And as you kind of go through the split second, that every single time just feels terrifying to just go through there. And it takes a little bit of psyching yourself up to even do it. It's like jumping into just ice cold water, something that your body just instinctively doesn't like. And every time you do that, your stomach twists, your heart skips a beat, your entire body just rejects it for that split second that you're inside of there. But despite that, you all breach through, and as you appear on the other side, you suddenly step and hear and feel the sudden gusts of ice cold wind around you. You are knee deep in snow as you kind of stumble forward, but kind of get caught before you kind of tumble over in this deep, deep snow. And in front of you, you see the very large, tall walls of a city that is in front of you. As Fiera, you believe that you have successfully made it, and indeed you did. I rolled a 97. I wasn't sure if it was a 6 or a 9. And welcome to Hosvan.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
And
Nailed
that
it.
is where we're going
Nailed
to
it.
end
Wow.
today's session. Though I will share this picture too.
Yeah, Pierre's good at something. That's good.
And we will see how this goes next week.
Next time.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Next time. Which big cliffhanger, I guess. Oop, this one.
Educational center, market, champions arena, core, merchant.
Merchant Plaza.
Merchant and market.
storage-
Huh?
Yeah. Storage district.
And then giant estate.
Yeah.
Cool. Went from a forest to a freezing tundra.
Yeah.
Damn.
A lot of
Brand new.
Cool,
Everything's
cool.
brand new from here on out.
restart.
Yeah.
Ah man, this takes me back. This brings back memories. Since my other group spent quite a while here.
Hmm.
So yeah.
So I'm thinking arena, then we can check on your family.
Priorities, please.
Oh my god.
We're gonna end up with another curse on our ends. Let's avoid arenas, okay?
We'll
In
see.
another timeline, Matt has made a barbarian who hates fighting.
Yep.
He's got a wizard who wants to start every fight possible.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Barbarian who's
Peaceful
afraid
barbarian.
of arenas.
Oh
good,
yes,
yeah, actually.
that is the group and the players we have to contend with, which is Matt just wants to do everything. Especially if it is an arena. If it says arena, gotta do it. Just gotta do it. Yeah.
Guys, we have another map to add to our loads of maps that we have.
I know.
2 maps today.
2 maps in one session.
Yeah.
Gotta collect them all.
Yeah, you are slowly doing that. That's
Cool.
New life
is-
goal for the Fate Weavers. We're going to publish an atlas of the Sapphire Plane.
That's not a bad idea.
Oh, I just realized all these are docks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
there's a lot of docks. That's the first thing I saw because it was so zoomed in. All I could see were the docks.
Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I guess my players will have the luxury of delving in there in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I forgot.
2,
No, 2 weeks. I'm gone.
3.
2-week break.
2 week
and
break.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
2-week break.
probably
Yeah,
the-
there's a 2 weeks break.
Well,
June, July.
Yeah.
loads of time to
Yeah.
prepare
Somewhere in
for
July.
an arena fight, I would say. There's
Yes.
time for me to prepare for an arena fight. And yeah, we will see how this next leg of the journey is gonna go. This is like literally at the beginning of a new arc. As you arrive in the new outfits.
Until we teleport somewhere else.
Yeah, until you
Yeah.
just decide, okay, maybe you go somewhere else. But that's how it is. That's D&D for you. And so, we're gonna say goodbye for now and see you guys whenever I decide to upload the videos. That's more accurate. So until then, bye.